All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be getting into why the left can't men. And there's several reasons why, but we'll get into that in a second. What I will say on the whole socialist Marxist viewpoint is that, there definitely are a few areas where I think taxes could be applied. I mean, obviously, I don't think any taxes should be applied, but if you're going to apply taxes, then I'm more in the more traditional view of taxes where it should be on capital gains and any type of labor should not be taxed. And specifically, I think like a area where it could be looked into is, that kind of like Vivek Ramaswamy and what's that other guy's name? Freaking Martin Shkreli. Those type of transactions where you're literally going in and getting huge loans from banks and then going into the pharmaceutical market to buy up basically like life necessary drugs for people with chronic illnesses and then raising the price to like millions of dollars per pill. Maybe that could be taxed at like 90%, like doing a move like that. But, I'm definitely still in the camp that, labor definitely shouldn't be taxed at all. So, saying that, let's get into some of what the left is missing when it comes to men. And I think part of it is the basic, like, Marxist materialist worldview, which kind of misses a few driving motivators of human society. And, like, the materialist, like, Marxist view misses the driving factor behind materialism is the interaction between men and women, right? Like men don't really care about materialism that much. Men care about getting women and women care about materialism. So therefore men care about materialism only by proxy of them caring about what women care about, right? So the like main blind spot, which is both on the left and the right, in opposite but equal measure, is this concept of equality, right? Where the left's problem is that they're saying that it's a blank slate, that everyone's a blank slate, so they can't explain inequalities. And even if we did full communism, like hypothetical full communism, where every single person lived in the exact same size house, had the exact same car, and was paid the exact same amount of money, there would still be more and less attractive people. And that would immediately cause an inequality in society. There would be more and less intelligent people, more and less tall people, more and less strong people. You get it? It's like, so even if the mind is a blank slate, it's obvious that the human body is not a blank slate on externally, right? And so even if everybody has the exact same material conditions, their physical conditions. So what are you going to do? Go in and biologically manipulate everybody to be the same height and weight? You see what I'm saying? So it's impossible, right? There's always going to be a competition. So even if you make every other natural resource abundant and equally available, the genetic resource is always going to be in scarce supply for men. And then, of course, women are always going to have a more, negative view towards reproduction based on their biology. They're always going to be more cautious of reproducing, right? So that's one biological kind of like bottleneck, is the fact that women don't really want to have sex. And then second of all, you've got the male biological bottleneck of that men are not made equally, right? They don't come out equally. So that fact in and of itself is always going to cause inequality, right? And so the right's problem is that they have this myth of meritocracy, right? So they reject blank slateism, but the problem is once you reject blank slateism, you also have to reject meritocracy. And this is why populism will always fail, because you're telling everybody, hey, if you just work hard and work in the group with the group, you'll also get a piece of the pie, but you don't. Right? You don't. You don't get a piece of the pie. Only the top 20% of the people get a piece of the pie, and then you're supposed to just shut up and accept that you helped them get a piece of the pie. Right? And so if you're on the right and you reject blank slateism, you necessarily must reject the concept of meritocracy, because if you accept the fact that people aren't born equal and some people are better than other people and some people are smarter than other people and some people are sexier than other people, then that means that you didn't earn it. That means you were just born like that. You know, like I'm tall, or like not that tall, but tall enough, right? Where it's like I didn't earn being tall, right? If you're like 6'3" and 400 pounds of pure muscle, you didn't earn that. You didn't earn that, and that's literally the thing that sets you apart from everybody else. You didn't earn it, and that's what they can't accept this fact. You can't accept it. You can't accept that you're not there because you did something. You're just there because you were born. It's basically like the right of kings, right? And it's like, okay, so we have a system where people aren't forced into it, but the fact of the matter is meritocracy doesn't, if blank slateism doesn't exist, then meritocracy doesn't exist either, because a meritocracy can only exist like it's like a race, right, where everybody starts at the same starting point, and then the winner is the person that actually, you know, trained the most, ran the fastest, whatever, right? But if you start the race like being, you know, 400 pounds and 6'5", right, you're already 500 meters ahead of me on a 600-meter dash. And then you're going to turn around and tell me, oh, but I earned it. I worked really hard. It's a joke. And now people are seeing it because people can look at statistics. Back in the day, you guys could pull this stuff off, but now people can just look at statistics and data online and see that it's true, that that's how it works. That basically, if you're one of these super people, then you just automatically get it, and you're born like that. It's not like, oh, we're not working hard enough. It's just that you were just born like that. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like trying to tell people that, you know, you could be Shaquille O'Neal too and get the most like blocks in the NBA. No, you can't, because you're not 7 feet tall. And it's an insult. It would be an insult for Shaquille O'Neal to come and tell you, hey man, if you just hit the court for another hour per day, you could do just what I do. It's an insult. And people can see right through it, and that's why populism just keeps failing. Because you're saying, hey, well, if you be a part of the group, then you'll get some too, and you don't. You won't. Right? So here, the problem with the left, right? Going back to the problem with the left, is that basically once men get a hold of some property, because right now you guys are talking to young men, and they don't have a lot. They don't have a lot of stuff. That's one of the biggest problems with young men right now. They're getting out-earned by young women. They can't get a hold of a house. It's hard to get a hold of a nice car. Gas is through the roof, right? And once they do get some property, then you lose them. You immediately lose. They immediately lose all socialist attitudes. You can see it, right? You can just see it as soon as they get that first tax bill where they actually have to pay out, instead of them getting a return, and they actually have to pay out $1,000 or $2,000 in taxes. They leave the left immediately. And it's just a natural thing that happens as men progress through life. They gain more experience, more property, more value to society. And then as they gain that value, they want to protect that value, because that value is the only thing that gets them women. And that's the only thing that men want. And you as leftists, you can't admit that. You can't just come out and admit that. The only thing that straight men want is women. And everything else that men do is to get women. It's not to get material goods. Right? And as soon as they get that property, they leave you guys. So you guys have a lot of young people And that's why you keep losing all the men. And they keep the men go over to the right as they gain property and value, right? And then the last thing is the apex survivor function, right? Which this is what creates the oligarchy that you can't get past, right? Because you have the apex, which is basically there's not enough spots at the top for everyone to get into, right? So certain people are going to end up in the top spots just through sheer like numbers, right? And some people are talented and some people aren't, right? Some people are supposed to be there and some people aren't. But it's the function of the position that allows them to be at the apex, right? Like, say, for instance, the president. Some presidents are very functional and good presidents, and some presidents are complete crap, but they're still at the apex of the power system, right? So saying that someone's in the apex doesn't automatically mean that they're actually better than you. It's just that they're in a power system, right? And they hold power over you through complex modern systems of society, right? And then you have the survivor bias combined with the apex fallacy, right? Which creates, so the survivor bias is basically like this story that you tell yourself, the narrative that you tell yourself why you deserve more than everybody else, right? Which goes back to the myth of meritocracy, right? For the right, right? And then for the left, it's like, oh, well, since everyone's a blank slate, everyone that's ahead must be cheating, right? Right. And then so you have this myth of meritocracy thing, right? And then so the survivor bias is the myth of meritocracy, that you have to tell yourself a story that why you deserve more than everyone else, whether it's you were chosen by God or you worked harder than everybody else. You know, oh, I was born poor and then it's like if you understand regression to the mean, your parents could have been slightly below average in some respects, but then if you're born, you're going to go back to the mean. So like people that escape the ghetto and they're like, well, I made it out of the ghetto. It's because you're like slightly better than your parents. Like a lot of people are, right? Slightly more intelligent, slightly taller, slightly more attractive. It could go either way, but a lot of the time that's what happens, right? So then you have this combination of people being in a position of power for whatever reason, plus them telling themselves a story as to why they deserve to be there and not you, right? And then you get the apex survivor function, right? Where they believe they're the only people in the system that can change the system for everybody else, for the populi, right? But because of this function, they believe that they deserve what they have and you don't. And so therefore that they will never fix the system because of their belief in the myth of meritocracy, right? And that's where you get your bootstrap or pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? And your man uppers. Oh, you got to just man up. There's nothing wrong with the system because it worked for one person. The system worked for one person out of 100,000. So therefore, there's nothing wrong with the system. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? You can't. Women are literally out there saying they don't want to get married. They don't want to get in relationships. They don't want to have children. But the problem is you need to man up. It's not the system, it's you, right? Right. And so the people that believe that they're there because of merit, because of the apex survivor function, form an oligarchy blocking everyone else out of the system, right? Because and then that's why everyone's like, well, what happened to noblesse oblige, right? Where it's like the people at the top of the system are supposed to recognize that they were put at the top of the system by the people below them. And that's why everyone was saying populism, because it's like we're putting you up to represent us, and then you turn around and crap on us and tell us that we're not deserving to be there because you have the apex survivor function and you believe that you're there for some other reason than either you were born that way or you were put into a position of power by the people. And then you turn around and crap on the people, right? So this is what this is the natural progression of stuff, and this is why the left can't win, because all the men are going to naturally gravitate towards the right, believe in populism, and then get stuck in this apex survivor function where they believe that either they're a failure because they can't man up, or that they're like basically sent by God to rule everybody. So that's the video. Thanks for watching. If you did, have a good day and peace.